So we're here today because my role is to bring the science behind Risale-Nur's all of the sutras and all of the connections and all of that. And where we start is with belief. Where we start is with disbelief. In my background, we study meditation. And we study the brain, and we look at the areas of the brain which are highlighted effectively. And as you can see from the slide, when humans perform deep levels of positive action, positive thought, we see lit up portions of the brain activated. What that means is it's working. And believe it or not, this is during meditation. You would think that during meditation you're, at peace and ease and you're doing nothing. But actually, your body is doing a lot. This is genetically embodied within your actual framework. You don't have to do anything for this to happen. So you surrender willingly. You go into that state before sleep, for example. You know that state just before you're about to fall asleep, that state. Or what about when you daydream? You know, daydreaming when you're driving a car or you go off a little bit, this is meditation. Believe it or not, it's that simple. Now here you give up your control, and so you're seeing by nature, by natural laws, we are actually giving up free will. We're following destiny. Now we're going to look at the neural part, the brain part of harmony and disorder. That is belief and disbelief. What's the difference? The part of the brain that's lit up is during the belief, and the part of the brain that's not lit up is during disbelief. This is a PET scan. So a study was done on the medial frontal and left temporal. Medial frontal means planning, thinking too much, worry, anxiety, this kind of thing. And when you are in action of disbelief or you are negative, then you don't have balance or harmony between all of the facets from the mind, the heart, and action. So these are the intelligence zones. In fact, with belief, you are more intelligent. You are allowed to use your intelligence much more effectively than in disbelief. You see, because you're using all of that energy and all of your nervous system to defend and fight off all of the unnecessary worries. So we're going to look at hope, belief, as Syed Nursi has emphasized. Belief is both light and strength. When he talks about strength, this is really to the previous slide, when we were talking about the strength in your ability to make decisions, the strength in your ability to be one, to feel a sense of unity. So here we're going to talk about a reciprocity, which means that I give to you and you give to me, naturally. By nature, you have to do nothing. All you have to do is have a calm mind and a focused mind and sleep. Does anyone not get sleep? Does anyone dream? Let's ask that. Dream? Yes? Good? Good? Oh, good. Fantastic. There's a reason I'm asking you this. Wonderful to hear that. You love to dream. There's a good reason for dreaming. Sleep is the most vital part of positive action. During sleep is the only time, you know, when the eyes are moving? REM sleep, they call it in science. The eyes are moving very fast, right? You don't see yourself, but I'm sure you've seen another. During this phase of sleep, it's a time when you have, you know, the alpha and the beta waves. Some of you may know that, some of you may not. But this is a very intense time for the brain. The brain actually shrinks in size during REM sleep, allowing the fluid around the brain to circulate. Like your lymph nodes, like when you have a cold and then you have a sort of disease in the body, an illness in the body, it's because the lymphatic system is a little bit blocked, we say. Similarly, in the brain, you can only get this time when you sleep. And you can only get this time when you REM sleep. REM sleep is just a few times during the night. And the most important part is trauma. The only time in a 24-hour cycle you can release trauma is during emotional regulation in REM sleep. This is why it's critical, and there's a cycle here. The more calm you are, the more you're at peace with yourself, the more you meditate, the more you go inside, the more you focus on calmness, the more you can sleep. And the more you sleep, so it's a cycle. You heal your trauma. And in all cases, trauma can be anything from being hit by a car, losing somebody, death, grief, all of the negative things that happen to all of us. So then, also, genetically, we look at our DNA. Some of you, who's more biased, let's say more in favor of positivity? Who's more negative? You can look at your family and see maybe there's some more positivism, more negativism. However, genetics is completely changeable. It's only 45% of your DNA, of your destiny. There is a part that you can alter, which is incredible. This is how a meaningful life comes to be. So this is the PET scans during REM. If you take a look what is happening, and again, only during REM sleep, we see the activation of the entire brain. And did you think you were doing nothing? So this allows you to dream. This allows you to visualize and imagine. It also allows you to control that time. Mentally, you can incorporate a good thought in your heart, a good thought in your mind before sleeping. As they say to prayers, that's the purpose of prayer, to create a ritual before sleep. The amygdala, the word that's down there at the bottom, the amygdala and hippocampus. The amygdala is the fear center. This is what incites people to act in a negative way. Amygdala is where you carry, it's the center of the brain. It's that little tiny almond-shaped or walnut-shaped item, and it is responsible for people yelling, for the emotional up and down, for too much trauma, and reactions, quick reactions, because it's fear-based. It's from the old days, when we were running away from guns and so forth, and we were fighting the warriors. It's from those days. So, in essence, the hippocampus is the most fragile part of the body, the most fragile part of the brain. And this is where we age. Aging and Alzheimer's is from this hippocampal region. And if you don't manage that hippocampal region, you will see signs of degradation. You will see aging occur or see it in your family. And this is a problem. The only way to heal to sustain memory, there's two ways. One is fitness, a lot of exercise, but the second is a deep sense of meditation, a deep sense of inner well-being, and you can retain a long-term memory. This is very important. In Syed Nursi, he talks about the heart as being the most important and elevated area of the human body. And there's a reason why, we put our hand to our heart, a hand to our chest. First, it offers some honesty or sincerity, of course, but there's another reason. There's actually receptors, electricity, let's say, receptors on the hand and receptors on the heart. So when you use your hand to your heart, you're creating a magnetic and electrical impulse, naturally, because our heart is electrical and magnetic, and so is our brain. And when you apply this, this is an energy force, electrically. It also has receptors. So you're basically applying it here. You cannot lie when you do this. There is not possible for you to be dishonest. It encourages, this movement alone is complete positivity. It's all you have to do. And you stimulate the cardiac muscles, you stimulate the interoceptors to speak a good language to everybody. And then it puts this positive feeling to everybody. It creates much happiness, and it's an easy thing to do. So I do want to talk about this one moment, as I addressed in the beginning, between sleep and wakefulness. You know that time before you're about to fall asleep. Some may shake, their body may shake, etc. And how this applies to Risale Noor is in the hopefulness. Hopefulness comes from this moment. If you think about it, you completely release. You let go of all security, you let go of all pretenses, and you have no choice now but to allow yourself to fall asleep. And that feeling is bliss. That moment, that gap, is absolutely blissful. How to achieve that? All the time. We could be driving our car, we could be in a car, we could be at school. And so this moment is very important to orient positivity, negativity, belief, disbelief, harmony, disharmony. You see, this is a focal point. This moment is like a diamond. This is bliss. Now, how do you encapsulate this at all times? There are peak experiences which come from, have you ever had an epiphany, an aha moment, a reflection? You sit maybe in the shower and you receive information and you're saying, oh yeah, that's right, that's amazing. It's amazing because it's true. These are highlights, these are insights, these are moments of divine coming through to you because you've allowed that connection, you've allowed that messaging, you've allowed that belief. And you have nothing to do. This is in your body, this is in your DNA, and this is in your consciousness from a scientific perspective. So here we talk about a meaningful life, and the reason for a meaningful life. Some people, when they don't receive that stability or that security, they feel that they're not living a meaningful life. And I think everybody feels they need to live such a important and reason for being here, etc. But that can only be when you have the self-cognition with divine connection. That stability is very, very important. And so recently they've done many, many studies on that moment, again, where you can use that moment and maximize that. The deepest connection can be said from your prayers, from yourself, retaining all of the messages. Don't worry about the trauma and the anxiety. That'll be taken care of during your sleep. You have no other role but right before you feel a sense of peace. This is very important. This is also the distinction between ego and disbelief. What is ego? We talk about categories, right? We categorize everything. The moment you have a mental perception, the moment you think, the moment you have a cognitive perception, you're categorizing it. Oh, he is he and she is she. We're not all human. We're all human. We're all the same, different physically, but the same essentially. In the DNA, yes, slightly different. The fingerprints are slightly different. We have various little differences. But these are more important for the unifying factor. We're all made up the same way. Regardless whether you have a limb, you don't have a limb, it doesn't matter. What truly, truly matters is the essence of inside. And how do you cultivate a benevolent essence? You do that by contemplating continuously, repeatedly, all the positive sayings, all the positive sutras, the prayers, etc. Do not worry about everything else. That'll be taken care of. There's nothing you can do when it comes to destiny, so you might as well allow it to proceed. Thank you very much. This was a trip